Hi, I'm Gemma Walker, and this is my story.
Ladies and gentlemen, my guest at this time, we have Gemma with us, and she's all the way from United Kingdom. Hello, Gemma. How are you?
Hi, Brandon. I'm good. How are you?
It's great. What's the weather like in London right now?
It's cold. It's really
I
cold.
see.
The last couple of days has gone really cold, but it
I
feels a bit more festive.
I see. And I understand that you're actually in Blackpool, England.
Yes, near the coast.
I see. That must be something interesting. What's it, the aviation traveling from there like? You know, it's a few hours or something like that?
Blackpool Airport itself, where we're based, we're based in a hangar here. It used to be a fully operational airport. It's not been for the last couple of years. They lost a lot of their regional flights, and so it's mainly general aviation now. Quite a lot of private movements and a lot of trainings done from here. But it's a great airport, great location in the northwest. We're only 1 hour away from Manchester International Airport. So yeah, it's a good location.
So you actually have a very beautiful office view then.
Yeah, we've got some nice aircraft in our hangar here.
I see. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself and the background of what you do, perhaps?
Yes, of course. So I'm the operations director for the Helispeed Group. So within the Helispeed Group, there is a training academy which trains rotary wing pilots. There's Global Crewing Solutions, which provides pilots and engineers, VIP flight attendants, and different aviation professionals within the fixed wing industry. And then there's Helispeed Solutions, which provides the same as Global Crewing Solutions, but rotary.
I see. And tell us about your journey and how did you get to where you are today?
Oh, okay. So I started my career working for CHC in Aberdeen. And then I went on, I worked in logistics and check-in there for a year or so. And I wanted to move back down to the north of England where I'm from.
Oh, okay.
And Aberdeen wasn't really for me. So I thought at the time it would be a good idea to get a job working offshore. That way I would work a rotation and be able to move back home. So when I was about 19, I applied for a job working for an oil company, and I got the job, and I got sent to Nigeria. So I went to work on an ROV vessel in Nigeria when I was 19, and then I worked for a number of years in oil and gas on a number of vessels all over the world. And then from there, I went on to be an assistant air traffic controller here at Blackpool Airport. And then my journey sort of gone from there, and then gone into building a business here with Helispeed.
So were you actually studying something that was related to aviation before this?
Well, when I worked for CHC, the sort of check-in process of passengers and the system that they use for checking people on before they got onto the aircraft, a lot of offshore platforms and vessels use the same system. So I was already trained on the system. So a number of, depending on what rig I was on or what vessel I was on, if they had a heli deck, then that would be sort of the aviation side of it. Some of them didn't. Some of them used, obviously, passenger boats to and from. So there was a little bit of the aviation aspect in there.
I see. So what were you planning to be doing growing up? You know, being a doctor or scientist or something, perhaps?
Oh no, I don't know. I still don't know now. When I'm in this position now, and I still think to myself, I wonder what it is if I didn't do this, what I would actually do. But no, this is where I am now. Aviation is my passion.
I see. Do you have any extraordinary skills, like perhaps playing the piano, baking, or something like that?
I can make a good Victoria sponge cake.
Oh,
that's about it.
Well, it's good that, you know, the listeners will be knowing that Gemma's like, wow, almost all rounder, but you know, she's still hands on to the pilot stick probably.
Yeah, no, I can't play any instruments. I know I don't, there's nothing really I can think of that's, I've thought about learning to fly, and I have had a couple of lessons because I thought it would be a really good opportunity to learn a little
Correct.
more about it and understand what our pilots do within their roles more. But it's just something I've not got around to yet.
So how many times have you got onto the heli and, you know, take a ride, move around it?
Well, I've been in a helicopter hundreds of times. Obviously, when I used to work offshore, that's how I got to the place of work, and then obviously back to land. So I've been on a helicopter a number of times, and obviously fixed wing. I've had a couple of lessons in some small aircraft.
Could you share some experiences on what's it like to be sitting in a heli for those that didn't, you know, have the experience?
In sitting in a helicopter, was that? Sorry.
Yes. Yep.
I've done lots of like pleasure flights and flights from here when we've been utilising the aircraft that we've got based here. The difference is obviously travelling offshore, whether it's in Canada or Nigeria, is you're sat in a survival suit. So if I'm out in, I've been out in St. John's in Newfoundland in the winter when it's minus 20 degrees, the survival suit is great because it keeps you warm when you're obviously on the aircraft. Yeah, can you hear me? Sorry, I didn't. It froze.
I can hear you. Your voice was there. It froze up. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I was asking, do you have any experiences before that you can share with us? It could be a stormy weather and, you know, a rough ride or something like that.
I've been on aircraft a number of times where I've not necessarily felt, you know, I wouldn't say safe. Safe's the wrong word, because you trust the organisation that you're flying offshore with or flying wherever you're going to. You trust the pilots are trained to the standards of the oil and gas industry. But there's been a number of flights, obviously, where we've been out and then returned to base because the weather's too bad or the weather's come in whilst we're on the flight, and then you sort of get a bit, worried about it. But I think that's human nature.
Yep, that's right. So you have two main roles that you manage, and can you briefly explain what these roles actually encompass?
Yeah, so I'm operations director for both Global Crewing Solutions and Helispeed Solutions. There's synergies to both positions because we're providing either helicopter pilots or fixed wing pilots. So whether it's for a maintenance organisation or an operator or for a ferry flight, for a lease company, there's certain aspects of it the same. So it's just a different aircraft type. And different sort of different regulations, rules sometimes, but the job is the same really. It's just a different aircraft type, and I just cover the group and manage the sort of the operation side of it.
I see. But how do you actually juggle these two roles?
A lot of hard work, a lot of hours.
Yeah,
and help from a good team that we've got. Just down to good planning. My background is logistics. That's what, aviation logistics, marine logistics, that sort of thing. So it's down to good planning, prioritizing my work, and just knowing what needs to be done. I think when you do something more than once, you sort of learn how you best do that job and how you best do that procedure, if you will. So I have a lot of things where what I do is I do everything in order. So it just means I can manage it better.
You're very good in managing all this stuff and stuff. Do you actually do stuff like extreme sports or, rock climbing and stuff like that?
No,
Oh,
I don't.
wow.
No, I don't.
Are you a very adventurous person?
Yeah, I like adventure, but not that. I tried wake surfing in the summer last year. I'm not very good at. I'm not into water. I'm not, which is funny, really, considering I've worked on vessels all over the world. But I'm not really into swimming. I'm not into deep water. I don't particularly like it. It frightens me a little bit. So last summer I actually tried wakeboarding, and I managed to do it straight away, and I don't know how I managed to do it, but it was good. It was good fun. So that's something I will do again. So that's maybe a little bit adventurous.
That's kudos to you. But what about something from the skies? Maybe like sky
No,
jumping?
absolutely not.
All right, you're really down to earth. So, being a woman in aviation and, you have a family, do you feel it is a challenge to maneuver and juggle everything that you do?
Um, I guess it's a challenge for anybody in any industry or in any sector, especially if you're trying to run your own business and manage a team and generate new business constantly and satisfy your clients and satisfy customers and always grow the business constantly. I think it's a challenge for anyone in any industry. And having a family, there's many things that I've missed out on with my daughter.
Mm,
But we have a good understanding of the reasons why that I do what I do with our work and the time that I put into our work and the time that I've committed to it, to build a future for us
right.
and then to go on to her and things. So I think it's challenging. It's sometimes I feel guilty about it, not picking her
Mhm.
up from school or dropping her off from school, but I think it's balance, and I think she understands from the beginning where we're going with
Mhm.
this. So
Yeah.
team.
So, aviation, it's always been a very masculine word and industry. When people talk about aviation, they always think that it's for men. Have you, got that feeling of those people with conservative mindsets and that they feel aviation is really for men?
I think there is people that still think that, but obviously coming from oil and gas,
Mm-hmm.
that's even more of a sort of a male-dominated industry working on.
Yes.
I've worked on a vessel with 240 odd people, and I was the only female on the vessel. So,
Wow.
so then coming into aviation is, it's definitely more male orientated. But I think quite quickly, I've seen from myself getting into this industry is that it's changing. There's a lot more females in industry. There's a lot more higher positions for females within the industry, and there's a lot more women leading the industry. So I think there's still perception of that, but I think that's maybe perception looking in, not necessarily in looking out. Because I know a
Yeah.
lot of females in the aviation industry that are high up within organizations. So I think it's maybe more of a perception looking in than necessarily out.
I see. And have you had any gender discrimination cases before?
I think I'm sure there is, and I'm sure maybe maybe it has been aimed, whether it at myself or something, of
Mm-hmm.
whether it's been a pilot that we've employed sort of that
Mm-hmm.
macho mentality maybe towards
Mm-hmm.
me as a female, and but I don't, really doesn't bother me. I don't take it personally, and I think it's more of their issue than anybody else's.
It's great that you make that step out and everybody has to do that. So the
Definitely.
COVID situation has impacted the industry. It's in a very negative way. Do
Mm.
you feel that it has impacted drive to encourage more women now during this time?
Um, I don't necessarily. I don't think it's necessarily encouraging more women into. I think what it has done is highlighted aviation as an industry. So because obviously in a negative way, there's been a lot of press about aviation all over the world and the impact that
Mm-hmm.
COVID has had on the industry. So I think it maybe highlighted aviation as an opportunity for people that maybe never have thought it. Thought
Yes.
of, look, maybe that's an interesting opportunity. So I think because it's been more in the press and more talked about, that
Mm-hmm.
it's sort of highlighted that there's this great industry there, that where there's opportunities. After this, there will be a lot of opportunities. So I think it's done that. I think it's put aviation in the spotlight a little bit.
Ah, okay. And let's say, what would you really tell the younger generation, or even, women or even men alike who wants to follow your footsteps, to encourage them to pursue their dreams? What
Oh,
would you
just
be
go
telling them?
for it. Just go for it. I think the educate, so I do quite a bit in schools in my local area and things with young people, with the council and things. And I think schools maybe need to change a little bit. So we educate in English, maths, science, those sorts of things, but we don't educate in like we don't educate enough in self-belief or opportunities to say you can be anything, you can do any of these things. Let's focus a little bit more on, instead of the actual education side of things, and you have to do these courses or these tests or these exams and these are the results that you get. Let's focus a little bit more on life opportunities and things, and showing people that you can do anything. You don't necessarily have to get the grades to do that job. You can work towards that job. So I think it's a lot of, we need to focus a little bit more on maybe, you know, self-belief and you can do it. I'm a huge believer in spreading the message to young people, is that there's opportunities out there for you that you don't even know of. So we need to educate that there is those opportunities out there, and just go for it. Just really go for it.
That's the spirit. That's right. Would you tell us a few words, you know, on how you feel about the WiAA Project initiative, and how would you like to be a part of it, you know?
I think initiatives like this are great because I think it's almost like a starting block for people. So if we highlight that these groups are available, these initiatives are here to support you, to provide a pathway, and then if we have great leaders within an initiative that can provide the support and guidance for people. So this is my passion of what I do with the local schools and colleges and young people. Initiatives like this are great. So I want to be part of these initiatives to sort of spread the word and really push forward.
All right. Okay. And do tell us a quote, if you have to, that has inspired your life, you know, something like that.
Lots of them, but my one of my ones is that I believe success is achieved by ordinary people with extraordinary determination.
Wow.
And I say that all the time when I go into schools or I'm talking to people who are asking questions of how have you done this, how, you know, how have you got to where you've got to. And I believe that because I'm just an ordinary person with extraordinary determination to do it.